television and throw yourself wholeheartedly in, and again, a whole new industry. I mean, when you were doing Through the Keyhole, you'd never done television before.
No.
And that was like one of the first morning TV shows, right?
Yeah,
In the 80s?
It was the first in, I think maybe BBC launched slightly earlier, but ITV launched TVAM in February 1983. And people were pretty shocked because the conventional wisdom was that no one could watch television in the morning. I mean, why?
Because we'd all be busy cooking or working.
Yes, you'd all be busy cooking, having a fry-up or going on the way to work or something like that. And it was confidently predicted that, breakfast television would be a total failure because no one would watch it. And, of course, it became a huge success.
Yeah.
So it was great fun to be part of that. And I knew nothing about television and had no interest in television other than watching it when I was asked to, hey, do you want to be on television? So I thought, well, might as well say yes and see what happens. And it was great. I mean, it was really great fun. And there were a lot of fabulously interesting people around.
Who was the most interesting who you got to see?
Well, the person who I worked most closely with, who was the most interesting, was David Frost.
Well, that, yeah.
Who at the time, I mean, it was quite bizarre. I mean, at the time, he was probably the most famous television personality in the world because he was he had a huge talk show in America and his programs here and Australia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He knew everything about television. And I knew absolutely nothing. So it was really kind of amazing that we became very good friends, very close friends, and, worked together for about 30 some odd years.
Wow. And then there was obviously MasterChef, just casually MasterChef, which you did for a decade. Mm. What was your background in food before then? Because I heard somewhere that you actually had never cooked anything until you're about 27 or 28 and that you taught yourself over a weekend 2 recipes.
Yes, which is...
And then you're like, yeah, I can cook.
Yeah. My family were real foodies.
Yeah.
So, from the time I was in my Moses basket, I was going to restaurants.
Nice.
Which was quite unusual at that time.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, I always loved food and loved reading about it and, the history of it and so on. And then I started writing about food a bit when I was in Boston. And then when I was working at Harper's, and Harper's, I mean, it's hard to believe because nowadays there's so many restaurant critics. But when I was working at Harper's, there were only 3 restaurant critics in the country.
No way.
Yeah. There was Faye.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
Faye, who was writing for, it wasn't called the Evening Standard in those days, I think, but Faye was writing for the London newspaper.
Right.
Bevis Hillier was writing for Vogue.
Right.
Oh, no, there were 4 restaurant critics. Larry Adler was writing for something called What's On in London.
Okay.
Which no one read. And then Harper's and Queen had this very distinguished tradition of restaurant critics, Clement Freud, Humphrey Littleton, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Harper's hired a new restaurant critic who went on holiday without filing any copy. And the editor of Harper's at the time said to me, oh, my dear, he was Italian. He said, oh, my dear, you know all about food. You be the restaurant critic. I said, okay, fine. And that day I went to 3 restaurants and then I stayed up all night writing this piece of copy to be delivered the next day. And then I was the restaurant critic for 13 years.
Did you enjoy that?
It was great fun. I think the difficulty with being a restaurant critic is that you don't get to, when you're a civilian, you can go to the restaurants you like.
Yeah.
when you're a restaurant critic, you're always looking, oh gosh, there's this new vegan kebab cafe in Stoke Newington. You need to be looking for new places all the time. So it's a different experience.
Yeah.
And when you're in the restaurant, you've got to be taking notes. And so it's fascinating because you have such an intense experience, but you don't have that wonderful, relaxed, escapist kind of thing.
Could you still enjoy restaurants while doing that job?
Yeah, but it's more difficult to enjoy a restaurant when you're trying to focus on every aspect of it.